All right, everybody, let's take a look at the foreign currencies. Particularly, we're going to look at the euro and the Mexican peso, and then we'll round things out by looking at the dollar index. So, as always, my commitment to trader strategy analysis begins with looking at what are the commercials doing. So, on the red line here, this is the commitment to traders commercial index. So, relative to the last 26 weeks of positioning, the commercials are very, very long. So, that's check mark number one in support of longing the euro. Down here, the green line is sentiment. So we see investment advisors are overly bearish the euro. And when these guys get extreme in their sentiment, that's a counter trend signal. So we like to see the commercials this juxtaposition between their positioning. So that's check mark number two for looking to long the euro. Then we also have valuation. Over here on our valuation measure, we see that the gold line here, this shows that the euro is undervalued relative to the price of gold, and we're not quite undervalued relative to the price of treasuries, but we only need one of these to support our idea. Now back over to this other platform here, we also see down here the true seasonal, Williams true seasonal. We see the true seasonals generally go up until December, actually the end of December, early January. So we have seasonals on our side, we have commercials, extreme positioning. In fact, the commercials are max long since they haven't been this long since basically September 2022, and this is the most bullish they've been all year, and I'll show you that right here. So this red line is the net positioning of the commercials, and we see the most long they've been was back in April and July of this year. Those both kind of coincided with nice rallies in the marketplace. So now they are even more long than those points, and you can see the last time they were this long was in fact way back here, which is at this major bottom that happened back in 2022. So for there's an extreme in positioning here, so that's supportive of what we're looking to do, which is go long the euro. Then we've also seen generally price has been decreasing while open interest has been going down. So this open interest is at the bottom. So open interest going down is in while the commercials are getting more long and indeed getting to an extreme in long positioning. That is a very, very bullish sign. We also have some supplementary indicators, which would be the percent R, which is right here, is in a buy zone. And then we also have over back here on this charting software, we have the stochastic is very oversold. So we have enough check marks to say, hey, if this market gives us a trend change on the daily, and I have a variety of techniques that I use to determine a daily trend change to the upside, this market is set up for a nice rally. From a cyclical and annual predictable zone perspective, there's actually a fairly strong annual predictable zone for price to go down. Basically, price from October 13th, wherever the price of October 13th would be, which would be right around here, basically there's a 70.8% chance that the close on November 10th will be lower than that price. So that's not in favor of going long, but the decennial pattern is generally for there to be an up move until October 29th. So we see the decennial pattern hasn't quite played out this at this time using the decennial cycle. From other cyclical points of view, generally the cycles are actually down 118 and 180 days, generally down to the end of November. And then we have a higher time frame, 40.8 month cycle is basically for the euro to be down until October 2025. So cycles aren't in our favor, but that's kind of the last thing that I look at, and there's nothing really pointing towards anything strongly for this now. So we'll go back now and do the Mexican peso. So we have right here, where do we start? As always, the first place we look is the commitment to traders commercial index, and we see that right here they're still long. They've been up in this zone for quite a long time, so that is a buy signal for the Mexican peso. Next, basically, if we want to look at the short positioning of the small speculators, we'll see they're quite extreme, and that is this green line, and it's a little messy. So you know what, I'm going to open it up on this other screen where I can just show that net positioning in just a cleaner format. So down here we see this green line. This is the net positioning of the small speculators. So these guys are generally wrong and extreme. So we see they're the max short they've been since last time they were the short was back in June of 2020. So that extreme in positioning is supportive of looking to long the Mexican peso. Basically, another way to look at this is overall on this multi-month down move, we've seen open interest decreasing. So the small speculators and the large speculators are getting out of this market, while the commercials, which is this red line, they've been getting heavily into the long side of this market. And they're not way up here at an extreme, but we're basically hovering around the extremes of positioning last seen since March 2023, which is also bullish. On the Mexican peso, we also have valuation supportive of looking too long. So the Mexican peso is extremely undervalued relative to the price of treasuries and gold. So we see the brown line treasuries and the gold line gold. That means that Mexican peso is very undervalued relative to those stores of value. So that's supportive of looking to long the Mexican peso as well. We also have our seasonal in support of longing the Mexican peso. So if we go back to here and this blue line down here, you'll see the strong seasonal tendency for the Mexican peso to basically go up until February generally and then go down. So there's a strong seasonal. And if we look at the overall net positioning based on an index basis for the small speculators, we already touched on the small specs being at an extreme, but that is also supported here with the relative positioning of the last 26 weeks. This index is showing the small specs in a very extreme and short positioning, which is supportive of our trade idea to go long the Mexican peso. We also have some supportive cycles. Actually, in this case, we have a decennial and an annual tendency for this market to go up from now until November 17th. And there's a blend of some lower and medium term cycles, 61, 136, and 310 day, that suggests this market should go basically up till January. So this is supportive of this. There's some geopolitical reasons why this trade is kind of a scary one to take, but based on just pure analysis, this is supportive of basically our strategy suggests go long Mexican peso if we do get a trend change on the daily. And we do have some supplementary indicators giving us signals here as well. We have some divergence on the price, open interest, and volume, which is this squiggly line up here is diverging from price. We also see the insider accumulation distribution. There has been some divergence here. Yes, this is making a lower low while this is making a higher low. So there's insider accumulation going on in this market. The percent R is in a buy zone. And then we also have divergence on the momentum indicator. It's just set up but not confirmed. So those are very good, nice looking setups for longs on the Mexican peso and the euro. To be clear, that doesn't mean I just long these markets immediately. It means if I get a trend change on the daily, then this market is set up for a long. So we'll just finish by looking at the dollar index. So the dollar index, the only reason I'm not as excited about these currency longs that we just reviewed is based on the positioning and the setup on the dollar index. So I'll show you what I mean here. So I'm going to go to the dollar index here and take a look at it. From a commitment to traders commercial positioning point of view, these guys are still extremely long relative to the last 26 weeks. So that is not supportive of going long the foreign currencies, which is essentially going short the US dollar. Now we see sentiment though is very, very bullish. So that's a supportive of shorting the US dollar. But basically the US dollar, if we look at a net positioning, this red line here, we can see they're overall still the most long they've been since June 2021. So very bullish. So they're still very long. So I would prefer to see this pop down here, this index, and see them very short relative to the last 26 weeks of positioning. And what's interesting is we had some short signals in the yen and the euro and the Aussie for several weeks, and they didn't really, none of them really caught on none of them really triggered until the commercial positioning on the dollar finally switched bullish, which was right here. So in this area here, we had some sell signals setting up for the foreign currencies, but they didn't really materialize until we saw the dollar flip positioning. So that's why I'm not as excited about these currency trades, is because the dollar positioning on the other side doesn't really add up to telling me the same thing, because in order to go long foreign currencies, you need the dollar to go down. So the dollar, it's kind of giving mixed messages. We have a commitment of traders commercial positioning suggesting buy, but then we have open interest increase caused by the large specs and the small specs, which is bearish. And I'll see if I can show you what I mean with that. Um, So from an open interest perspective, we have seen open interest going up here the last few weeks, and that's not being caused by the commercials buying more. They're actually starting to sell into this move. So that's bearish. And then we also have overvaluation, and we have bullish advisor sentiment, which is a sell signal. But I can't take sell signals unless the commercial positioning is in the same alignment. And so that's the thing. The dollar index right now is giving a mixed bag of signals, while these other currencies are giving nice clear signals to buy. So that being said, these markets, the euro and the Mexican peso, are set up for longs if there's a confirmed trend change on the daily to the upside. And there's lots of reasons to take these trades. And so that's it for currencies for this week. If you have any questions about how I analyze these markets utilizing the commitment of traders, you can give me a message anytime. And if you like my channel, feel free to like it, share, subscribe, all those things. I appreciate the support, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Thanks for listening.